Welcome to this month's Friends You Keep. As they say, we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And at Erin Wellness, we believe that sustainable health and wellness is an accumulation of 5 pillars: the thoughts you think, the friends you keep, daily movement, nutrition, and lastly, supplementation. So each month we feature guests doing exceptional things that will hopefully inspire you to step into all you are destined to be. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast today. I am really excited today to have Laura Federico and Morgan Miller here with me today. Welcome, you two.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So Laura is a psychotherapist. And is this like AASECT-certified, or would it be AASECT, or can you tell me how to pronounce that properly?
AASECT, you're perfect.
AASECT, okay. AASECT-certified sex therapist, writer, and consultant with a specialty in sex and relationships. Then we have Morgan. Morgan Miller is a midwife, a lactation consultant, and founder of the Soft Corner Midwifery and Birth Center, dedicated to creating compassionate, autonomy-focused spaces for birthing families. So together, Laura and Morgan have authored the Cycle book, and that's available with Penguin, on Penguin, or with Penguin. It'd be with Penguin or on Penguin. Both? You could do with or, okay. An engaging, empowering guide to hormone tracking, which I'm a big fan of. And we actually have that in our QR codes in Reclaim, discussing the 4 different phases of a woman's cycle and the importance behind understanding this and how that determines some of our moods going on through the month or things that can go on in our life. Combining science and storytelling and heartfelt honesty, the book stems from their own friendship and years of supporting those who felt gaslit and disconnected from their bodies. The Cycle book encourages readers to move away from solely relying on apps and instead learning to tune into our bodies, which is so important, with tools that prompts and compassionate self-awareness. So thank you so much for coming today and having this discussion. And then also thank you for the book. Amazing. Congratulations. It is so much work to do a book.
We're so excited about it.
So much work.
So much work. Like now I've done numerous books, but I'll look at, some of the big ones and I'm like, how did you get oh my gosh, it's like, that is just so much. And I was discussing with my brother, I'll say this quickly. He has a PhD. And so he said to me at one point with one of my books, he was like, you just have to put it down. He goes, because you can constantly edit it. It will never be good enough. Forever. You could still go back and be like, oh, I should have done that better.
I can't believe you've done multiple. That is mind blowing.
Well, I have 4 cookbooks, and then I did Bulimia to Balance years ago. And then I just did Navigating Perimenopause, the workbook, but that took me 2 years and I could still go back and edit it more. And it's just enough. So let it go into the world. So congratulations on the book. It is huge. And I know how much work that takes to bring forth the book into space. So let's talk about what inspired you both to combine your expertise, obviously in sex therapy and midwifery, to create this collaborative project in this book. How did that all kind of come to be?
Trauma bonding.
The best sort of bonding possible.
Morgan and I have been friends for decades, and we have been through our own struggles and, kind of coming together to try to figure things out. And then when we went into our own sort of career paths, coming together and saying, I am seeing the same exact thing that we experienced. Are you seeing that in your office? Yes, over and over and over again. And I would say the catalyst was maybe my own kind of personal breaking point, where I came to Morgan struggling with secondary infertility. And I said, something is not right. I do not know what to do any longer. What's being recommended by doctors is not working and it's making me sick, and I don't know how to advocate for myself. And she taught me how to cycle track, and it truly was this life-changing moment for me. And I was shocked that this was information I did not have about my body in my late 30s. And I said to Morgan, how can we try to get this information out to more people before they are in crisis? Because that's how we came into doing what we do. Morgan has her own story with endometriosis and kind of coming into midwifery, but we were sort of saying to one another, how can this be basic body information that is provided to all of us before we have to get to the point that we were at, where we're calling each other and crying, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And so much of it is actually, I don't know if you guys have seen that trend on social media right now that's this is what I would tell you if I wasn't afraid of hurting your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
There's like something about when Laura and I were going over cycle tracking together, that because we've been friends for so long, we really did cycle tracking in a different and intimate way based on our relationship and based on knowing each other and knowing what would work and what doesn't. And I do cycle tracking with clients and have done it for years and years and always individualize it to the clients. But the tools and resources that were out there they were always a little clunky or didn't work in the right way. And so I could speak freely with Laura and be like, okay, this is some baloney. Let's ignore this part. This is what's actually useful. This is how to customize it to you and actually get to the purpose of why we're here. And there was something about that liberty of our friendship that allowed us to come up with this new version of cycle tracking that really like gets people where they want to go.
And so can you explain a bit what that is? Like, what is the new way of cycle tracking? I'm curious because I have my daughter, she has an app, and we've had all these conversations. And so she understands the 4 phases and how she might operate differently at different phases of the month, and how that is important to honor and give yourself compassion and grace during these times. But I'd love to learn more about what you guys are up to.
I think a lot of it had to do with being able to blend Laura's expertise and then how I spend my days as a midwife, and realizing that when a lot of people are using some of the formats through apps or wearable devices, there is a separation between someone's experience of their body and the information they're gathering. Mm-hmm. And so there was something about being able to bring in the evidence-backed practices of mindfulness into cycle tracking to make the experience something where people are in their bodies, trust their bodies, learn how they communicate, and learn how to articulate that to themselves and the people around them so that they can get the best supports if they're seeking that, or set up the best system around them to feel their best.
And are you finding most women are using cycle tracking for fertility to actually get pregnant? Is that one of the most common reasons? I would think so. I mean, totally. Curiosity would be one. I mean, my daughter's 16, so not fertility, at least better not be. Get it? No. But in that, her just understanding her body, and hopefully that becomes more of the norm, where women are wanting to understand what's going on in their body. Yes. But I can imagine for fertility, 100%, you'd want to know when you're ovulating and what your body's going through every single month.
Yes. It's incredible that you are supporting your daughter in that. I wish I had that information when I was 16. I think that the majority of sex ed focuses on fertility when you're learning about any part of this process, any part of the menstrual cycle, any part of ovulation, any part of understanding like why a body has eggs, for example, right? The egg cell. It's all like hyper fertility focused. And so we're missing this gigantic part of the equation, which is that our hormone levels impact all of our major body systems. We have hormone receptors in all parts of our body. And so what Morgan and I are also trying to do here is to introduce this idea that you can listen to your body at any time, that this isn't like external information that you're applying to yourself, but exactly like Morgan said, this mindful experience of being able to just first observe the sensations in your body, but to understand that we're talking about mental health, we're talking about emotional well-being, we're talking about sexuality, we're talking about how you feel in relationship to other people, we're talking about managing chronic conditions. I mean, the list really goes on here. Yeah. And our hope is that by introducing this idea, people will get curious. And the way that that will manifest is by paying attention to these body sensations that matter to them. One of my huge pet peeves as a therapist is that I got no training on this. I have post sort of master's training, years of it to be a certified sex therapist and a sexology certification, no training in there. And there's no conversations really until we're kind of like, we're in this sort of like mass media moment around perimenopause. So people are starting to talk about this, right? But outside of these flashpoints, nobody is really saying, how do you talk to your client about how their hormonal cycles may impact how they feel? I'm a sex therapist. Our hormonal shifts impact lubrication, desire, arousal, how we feel in relation to other people. If we're not having these conversations as clinicians, introducing that to the people who are coming into our offices, this in my mind is like a massive miss.
Yeah. Well, and people, I think women are, I mean, my algorithm's obviously set to perimenopause and all things women's health. So I am constantly seeing things. But I am I travel across Canada and I do speaking, and I'm in stores and I'm talking to consumers where they're not talking about, like, people, their friends aren't talking about hormone replacement therapy or menopause or perimenopause or symptoms or having anxiety and sleepless nights. They're just not talking about it. I was in Red Deer and talking to somebody and they were like, my friends don't talk about this. I'm like, what? Like, this is all we talk about,
Yeah.
And so there's that too, where some women just are, I think, don't feel comfortable even talking about periods. I was doing a training actually last week in Ontario, and I do an aisle trainings with stores. So I was doing aisle training, and years ago at CHFA, our big trade show that we have, I pitched at Launchpad and I had everybody scream vagina. So I was telling them this whole story about how everybody scream vagina. And the manager of the store, her face when I said vagina, you could just see like,
Yeah.
oh my God, what's she saying that word for?
Yeah.
And so I found that really fascinating. And then the team also thought it was quite funny, and they're laughing. They're like, we should take a picture of all of us yelling vagina. And you could just see her being like, oh God, the fact that people are saying that word. So there still is this whole thing about us being uncomfortable talking about our bodies or talking about what we're going through, right? So having these kind of books, having this conversation that you guys are having is so imperative to make people step into that a little bit more and feel more comfortable with it. I mean, 100%. And so when you look at what are some of the significant challenges people are having? Is it the communication with self? Is it the tuning in? Is that the big challenge people are having when it comes to understanding their cycles? Or is it just the fact that people aren't talking about it?
I do think some of it is the tuning in, but not by fault of the individual. It's just,
Yeah.
it's like societally, it's like cultured into us to check out and like do your 9 to 5, forget that you have to go pee, forget that you're supposed to eat lunch. Like we like remove ourselves from that. But then there's this other piece of it that like we were not given information. Like, yes, just like Laura's saying, as providers, we weren't given it. So how are we supposed to give it to people when they reach out to us? But even if you did have sex ed, like none of the information in there talks truly about our anatomy and the function beyond this context of fertility. And people will come into my office regularly thinking something is deeply wrong with them because, for instance, they're like, vaginal lubrication is different than it used to be. And it's like, oh, well, turns out those things are normal. Somebody should have told you that before, that it changes throughout a lifetime, or that your tissues change shape and size. Like if we're not told these things, then we think we're about to die and race in a panic mode to a provider. And it's just not fair to put us in those positions.
Yeah. And so how does your book, how's a cycle book address these feelings? Like when somebody maybe feels dismissed or gaslit by their doctor, or feel like this is only happening to me and I've never heard of anybody else having this, or doesn't have a friend group that's talking about everything, as my friend group. So like how does the cycle book, how does it address that and support women to kind of bring it up and have more conversations?
I'm into your friend group. It sounds like you guys are talking about all the things I want to be talking about.
We are.
There's a usefulness for dissociation. The experience of disconnecting from our bodies is helpful when it is uncomfortable or scary or painful to be in our bodies. And so part of what we do in the cycle book is introduce a pathway to being present at a pace that feels right for every person who's reading it. And that's really the first step to being able to advocate for yourself in any of these types of settings, is to be able to be present enough with yourself to know how to engage with someone else. We have concrete tools in the book as well. We have like an actual form that walks you through how to navigate a doctor's visit so that you can prepare in advance. You can use all this great data that you're gathering about your body, and you can really plan strategically and really set yourself up for success in that way. But on top of that, it's just this real, I think, important idea that we kind of need to be connected to ourselves to be able to protect ourselves, to advocate for ourselves, and to have these difficult conversations in some of these settings. We also really try to put language to the experience of medical trauma so that people feel validated in what they've been through, and then provide a pathway to healing from that as well.
Yeah, that's really great. I mean,
really,
go ahead.
We're really hoping to like be the friend group that you have for people
Yeah.
too, to be
Yeah,
able
I love that.
to be reading this and learning it and being like, oh my God, me too. I feel so
Yeah.
seen and get it. Like that's why we put it all together.
Well, and I think having the conversations, I did that in my navigating perimenopause workbook, was having graphs and charts, tracking your stuff, tracking your cycles, your symptoms, everything kind of going on. So when you go in for that 15-minute conversation with your doctor, if that's what you're allotted, that you can say, this is what's going on. Here's, and then questions you can ask. And also I, suggest just say, I'd like to record this, please. Because a lot of the time we can leave a doctor's office and we're like, or leave a lot of situations and we're like, what just happened? What did that person say? Especially perimenopause. Like, what am I here for? Right. So in that, recording it and being like, I'd like, because then I can have that to review afterwards to be like, oh, okay, that doesn't make sense. That makes sense. And so you can have that or bring somebody with you if you don't want to record the conversations. That person can also be that additional set of ears to hear and listen and be able to affirm what you heard or what you did not hear. Right. But I think the big thing too is women learning to advocate for themselves more. That's something else I often hear, and you guys must hear that as well, where, I mean, I did it in my 35. I was 35 when I saw my doctor. I had very low testosterone levels. I was like 0.5. I had no libido. My doctor's like, well, you're motivated, right? And I've been in this industry for a long time. I'm very different than I was 15 years ago. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess I am motivated. Fast forward to now, I actually take testosterone because I even dropped further. And what a game changer that's been in my libido and in my decisiveness and in like just everything about who I am. And I think, God, if I would have started that 15 years ago, but I didn't think even back then to be like, no, that's not normal. This is not, I'm way too low. I have no libido. What can we do to fix this? Right. And so that whole being able to have that conversation with your physician and feeling empowered to do so is so important. Right. And sometimes we do need to have that like written out. So go ahead.
There's so many layers to what you just shared, right? Like you have to, first of all, have the confidence in your own experience to say, even though this particular provider thought this was fine, it still doesn't feel fine for me. Yeah. What am I going to do next? Then you have to be able to gather up the like emotional energy to find another provider, maybe go through a few before you find the right fit. And then you have to have the sort of reserves to come into that visit saying, hey, I've been getting different information, but I promise you that I know something's not right. What do you think? Right. I mean, it's just, it's so much work, everything that you're describing to be able to have a different outcome there. And I think it's so powerful for us to like name all of those pieces, because to say to anyone, hey, you should just maybe like seek a second opinion. It's not so simple. This is a ton of emotional labor. I mean, it's a lot of physical time, and it takes a lot of, honestly, like courage to keep showing up and
it does.
telling someone that what they're saying doesn't feel like the right fit.
Yeah. And is that, you talk about storytelling. We read that in the beginning of the bio, how the book is all kind of, you have that storytelling component to it. Is that one of the ways that in which you teach women to reconnect with their body and being able to have these conversations as well as learning how to tell the story of what they're feeling? I'm gonna buy the book to support you. I'm gonna read the book too. So I haven't had a chance yet. So I'm gonna have to ask from a perspective of not knowing the book yet. But what role does storytelling have to do in that?
I think it can be so powerful, and we really try to integrate stories from, our clients that we've been working with over the years, and how powerful this could be for them and what they were able to do with that information, how they were able to use it and apply it, and either have the aha moment or set up support for themselves or get the diagnosis, to really show from that experience what it looked like in so many different ways for so many different people. That storytelling aspect is, it's how we connect.
Yeah. Well, I guess being able to, when you go into a doctor, being, you won't necessarily have to be read in a book, but you say a girlfriend of mine, because you're creating the friend group, right? So,
totally.
My girlfriend of mine said this was her experience, and I really kind of identify with that. Can you tell me more about this, right? And asking from that perspective, so understanding other people's journeys and how that connects to your own journey, because we all are so connected, right? We see each other in each other all the time, right? See ourselves in each other all the time. So, Laura, how is your experience? Because you've worked I didn't get to read your whole bio. So your whole bio will be in the podcast, but I didn't get to read both of your whole bio. So Laura, I know you've traveled quite a bit and you've worked in many different countries. So how has your experience working with all these different countries informed your approach to physical and emotional well-being?
Such a great question. I think that being in different environments with different groups of people experiencing different things has really strengthened my stance of curiosity. My ego is to the side when I do this work. It has really actually given me the freedom to know that I'm better at my job when I don't know anything, and that the thing that is helpful that I can provide is really being a mirror and being able to recognize that I never know what's best for someone else. That's not my role at all, and that we are really co-creating something together. And I think constantly being put in a position where I'm not in my comfort zone really enhances that understanding, and allows me to take that forward. It's a lesson I'm learning over and over and over again every single day.
Yeah, I love that. And for Morgan, so you talk about the importance of creating safe and autonomous spaces in midwifery. And with your soft corner midwifery, I can say that correct, sorry, midwifery and birth center. How did that influence the cycle book? How do you feel that brought kind of what your practice is to the cycle book?
I mean, I think so much of what I've really focused my energies on with work have been really having a holistic care experience for people. So when they walk in the door of the building here, I want them to feel safe and feel comfortable and not feel like they're in a scary doctor's office. I want them to feel like they can speak freely. And then I want to have space and time in how that's physically structured to be able to really individualize what people's care looks like and really just be a liaison of information. So as a midwife, I see myself as a person who just happened to nerd out with a bunch of books and research about this subject. And I'm here to share it with someone and how that can be individualized to whatever their inquiry is or whatever their choices are. I'm there to liaise them getting connected with labs or ultrasounds or birth or whatever it is they're after, but they are the ones that get to make the choices. It's their journey. I'm just here to facilitate it. And I think that's the energy that Laura and I brought into the book, is we want to give people information that they should have gotten so long ago in their lives. It's for them. They get to choose what to do with it, but we get to do a little bit of hand holding to say, here's places you may want to look if this resonates with you, or here's where you may want to go if this is feeling right for you, so that it doesn't feel like the entire burden is on someone to know everything. You're not supposed to, but we want to give people a little bit of grounding to say, here's some basics that people should have told you. And if this sparks interest, go here next, because I think that might feel really empowering for you.
I love that. And what is the biggest misconception you think that has come to with hormone tracking?
I mean, on my end, that it's about fertility, that it doesn't impact any of these other holistic experiences. And like I spoke about before, I have this like very particular personal issue with it not being a part of mental health.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like my biggest is the concept that people are supposed to feel a certain way at different phases of their cycle. That if you're ovulatory, you feel this. If you're premenstrual, you feel this. And that's because of that hormone. And I can just say from my experience as a midwife, it is just not true. Everyone experiences those hormones differently. Some people feel radical at ovulation and some people feel miserable. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. It's just a different way of processing.
Yeah. I mean, I find it's funny. I find right before my period, I have a really hard time having conversations. My words, like if I'm speaking, my words fumble all the time. And I usually will, like I'm in my luteal phase, everybody. So it's going to be a little bit bumpy today. Bear with me. I find I stumble on words. But after my period, all of a sudden I'm just like, it's game time. And I can just like, I'm just like, clock, I got it. And it seems it's seamless. It's easy. It's so interesting. And the words come to me very easily. Sometimes I stand, I'm like, I can't think of the word. I'm like, what am I trying to think of? Could be perimenopause too. But it is interesting once I began noticing that, how I feel in different times of the month, right? And how I mean, I can't be like, I can't speak because I'm in my menstrual cycle. Sorry, so you have to kind of obviously navigate around it. But I find that fascinating for myself, even being aware of that, how different I operate in different times of the month. I can get into a good argument before, around ovulation and post period.
Yeah. When did you learn that about yourself? How long did it take you to notice that?
I mean, I think when I started, so on our product Reclaim, which is our hormonal supportive and product, we actually have QR codes. So our QR codes lead to a complete program: meal plans, workouts, affirmations, education. And in that, we go into the 4 phases of a woman's cycle. And so we really want to bring that to light so women have a better understanding. And I also had a seminar years ago on tracking, like biohacking your cycle is what I kind of called it, and being aware of these different times of the month. And that's when I became even more aware of it myself. And I was like, so fascinating. And how much better I personally feel better during ovulation. I feel like I look better all of a sudden, and then as I go closer, I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? So that's what I noticed for myself too, is I feel more like a rock star during ovulation, but not everybody does feel that way. And I think it is really important to talk about that and to give ourselves grace and realize, no, we're not the same. We're all so different. And there's no right or no wrong. There just is, right? And understanding that is the most important thing.
Amazing.
Right. So what advice do you have somebody who's just beginning their journey in cycle tracking to understanding their body? Obviously, buy the book. That's the first thing, but that will be their first start. But what are some of the things you also advise?
I would say start simple and just ask yourself, out of all of the experiences that you have, which are you most curious about as it relates to hormones? Because again, it is not just about fertility. So ask yourself, is it your sexuality? Is it your desire? Is it how you feel in relationships? Is it, if you can gather your words or not? Just out of everything you could be experiencing, what are you curious about? Just really start simple.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So I'm going to have some personal questions. So what is your one thing you would tell your 20-year-old self?
Morgan, what would you say? Oh my God. How much time do we have? My 20-year-old self, I mean, honestly, don't second guess yourself. Like a lot of this stuff for me, becoming a midwife and a lot of this work and the work towards this book was learning because I felt dismissed, or learning because I wasn't getting the support that I was asking for through medical centers and providers. And I knew something was wrong, even though I had 15 years of being dismissed. I knew, and I had to dig so deep in it. And it took me a long time to find the language and find the internal resources to be able to trust myself and not second guess myself. And I think if I could have that just a touch sooner, that would have been fabulous.
Yeah, I agree with that. How about yourself, Laura?
Mine's kind of similar in that I would say dream bigger. It's not always the first thing that comes at you that you have to learn how to accept. There are things that you can do to improve your own situation. I think that in the same way that Morgan is saying, I wish I had that information sooner. It feels like I had to learn the hard way to get to that knowledge. Yeah. And I wish it was just there for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear that. What is your favorite go-to treat?
For me, the first thing that I thought of when you said that was food, but my actual go-to treat is, I have children, is taking a walk by myself.
Oh, I love that. Okay. I know I usually do think food, but I like that. I get it. You're just like, leave me alone. Give me some space. I get that. How about you, Morgan?
That's so funny because my answer is the same, but I don't have children. I just can't leave you alone.
I just want to be alone. God. I love that.
I just want to be alone in the desert by myself for a couple hours.
What's your favorite swear word?
Oh, for me, definitely fuck. Yeah, the F word's the best one.
That seems to be the consensus. I mean, that is yours fuck as well? Oh, is it? What's yours?
Yeah, I want to come back. I'm all for cunt.
Oh,
Oh,
reclaiming.
wow. Bringing the
Mhm.
C word
Uh-huh.
back. I like that. See you next Tuesday. That's when you're really mad. That's when I'd have to be like next level angry to bring out the C word. Fuck is my like favorite one that I use on a regular. Fuck tard is actually what I call people all the time when I'm driving. My daughter's like, "What did you say?" I'm like, "Fuck tard." So I agree. I love fuck. And I like the see you next Tuesday one. What's your favorite book, or what podcast are you guys listening to, or what's your favorite little treat like that?
Okay, I do not have an all-time favorite book, but the best book that I read recently was Empire of AI by Karen Howe. It was like fascinating.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
really?
really, really
Empire of
fascinating.
AI. I'm
Yeah.
gonna look at that. I am also
Mhm.
very interested in the whole AI thing too right now. I'm
It
listening to
was
some good podcasts on it.
fascinating.
Really? Okay.
Mhm.
I
How about
just have
yourself,
like
Morgan?
so many favorite books. It's really hard to get after. I guess right now what's really getting me going is Laura, what is it? Amanda Hassan's Second Life.
Oh yeah, it was so good.
Yeah.
Is that a like a storybook, or is it not a storybook, but a novel type idea, or
It's by a journalist, and it's really
Mhm.
about the idea of raising children in contemporary times and what it looks like with the integrations of technology that
okay.
exist around us. And
Yeah.
It's like a memoir. It's like a memoir
Oh, okay.
slash like reporting piece.
Oh,
It
very
was
cool.
like
Okay.
really fascinating. Yeah, she
Oh,
talks
very
about like
cool.
her own journey being pregnant and like all the ways that like she tracked things and all the ways that like the influence of tech changed how she made
Yeah.
decisions. I mean, it was really
Mhm.
interesting.
Interesting. And actually, a question I didn't ask that I would like to know, is there an app you guys think that you suggest people use, or do you suggest them really trying right from the get-go to just kind of connect to their natural rhythms and their cycles? Or is there one app that you guys are like, okay, start there and this will is going to have you like,
I,
or you
it,
guys, are you guys going to
it's
start one?
it's tricky, I think, because of the way that privacy and data goes these days. It's
Yeah.
generally not a very safe space to have your data in many of
Yeah.
these apps. There are a few apps that have higher ratings for better protections,
Yeah.
like the Yuki app and Read Your Body. But I think it's just a personal choice on where that information feels most useful. And again, like what the daily practice looks like for you. Is it feel
Yeah.
good to be on an app? Does it feel good to set with a notebook? Does it, what feels good to
Yeah.
you to live in your best truth?
Gotcha.
In the
Okay.
book, we
Yeah.
designed these charts, which are very pleasurable to fill out. They're
Oh, love
really
that.
simple and they're like little bubbles that you fill in. We spent so much time trying to design a chart that fit in a book that captured all the useful
Yeah.
information a person wants to have, but that also gave you like a little dopamine hit. So it's kind of like, if you're familiar with like bullet journaling
Yeah.
or even this idea of like morning pages, like Real the Artist Way vibes, like we
Yeah.
really set it up so that it's something that you get to do once a day. You've designed your tracking categories yourself based on what is important
Love
to
that.
you. And then you're like filling in these like really gorgeous little bubbles and then you see the whole thing and
Love
it's
that.
really fun to fill out. So we're doing our part here to try to
Love
make the
that.
analog method something that
Yeah.
maybe you want to experiment with. Again, with the hope that we're teaching people how to be safe in their bodies and how to be present in their bodies.
Yeah.
And I love using an app for like a complementary sort of like collection method. If you find one, like Morgan said, that feels okay for your privacy protection. But this like piece we're always missing. And our stance is
Connection.
always going to be the more information you have for your body, the better wherever you're at. And if that's apps,
Mhm.
amazing, like take some power back. But if you have the curiosity, try on paper, like try
Yeah.
being present. Like, let's like see how empowering that piece can be.
Yeah. And well, and how you can use that not only for checking your cycles now, if you're younger, but also how that's going to be when you hit perimenopause and being very, very
Yes.
aware of what's going on in your body. I've always been very connected to my body. And I think a lot of that comes just from training for years as well.
Mhm.
I work out quite a bit and I lift and I know my body very well. And so in that, being able to have that connection when you are going into a doctor's appointment, I'm very good at advocating for myself because I understand
Mhm.
what's going on, right? I'm not I'm like, well, I think I feel this way. It's like, this is different. This is not the way it felt last month because I'm feeling different. And being able to track it and write it down is going to be a huge part of that.
I think that's a piece of it too. Unfortunately, we do know that most of the apps have a fairly low accuracy, like the efficacy for, accurately predicting when ovulation is going to occur is something like 20% with apps. And so that's just like not accurate.
It's really low.
It's bad.
And it gives people false information to be learning about their body, but it's not actually in line with their hormones. And so there is something about like when you can turn those predictions off, when you can turn off these algorithms we know do not work, they can't get as individualized as they should, that with the paper method that we have, like you can understand that. You don't need an algorithm to tell you. It's very simple and straightforward. And, we can hold your hand through the process, but it's your information to understand and use. You can do it.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Awesome. Okay. So where can people find you? Where can they find the book? Give me everything. I'll also have it in the show notes too, but
we're on social media at The Cycle Book, and you can find us online at thecyclebook.com. And the book is available everywhere that books are sold. Of course, hit up your local indie bookstore. That's our favorite. And it's also on audio now.
Love that. Oh, are you guys reading it? Do you guys do it yourselves?
Yeah.
Love it. Oh, that's amazing. It's amazing. Love that. And do you guys have personal pages as well and personal business pages you want to plug as well? Might as well go for it.
That's all linked through the Cycle Book.
All linked through that? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, information to Laura's private practice and mine as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming on today and having this discussion. I love what you guys are doing. I'm going to go buy the book and I'm going to post it in my stories and I'm going to read it. I'll get my daughter to read it too. And thank you so much for being on. I really, really appreciate this important conversation that we're having. And thank you, everybody who have come on and listened today. Stay tuned for next month for another Friends You Keep.